Hi everyone, welcome to week 5. So I just want to start this by saying that next week is our summer break. So the way we do our 10-week sessions at Coastal is we have our first 5 weeks, then we have a week break, and then we have a second 5 weeks. So next week, starting the 23rd, I believe, yeah, it's the 23rd, Monday the 23rd. All the way through Sunday the 29th, there are no assignments due. I will not post a Monday memo. You will not see a video for that week. We have no work due that week, but you do still have access to everything on Canvas. So if there's any work that you need to make up, you are free to do that and submit it. If you want to catch up on all the inquisitives we've had so far, including this week's inquisitive, I believe we've had 12 so far. We have 15 total, and you'll get the last ones in week 6. And so we've already, or module 6. So we've already done like 12 or 13 already have been assigned. So if you haven't done those yet, or you haven't revised them to a 100 yet, next week is a perfect time to play catch up and do some of those things and get those things caught up and get those things done, because it makes a huge difference in your grade. You don't want to get all the way until August 4th and think you have an A, for example, in the class, and then all those zeros fill in for all the inquisitives that you've missed, and then your grade drops to a C or a D. So make sure that you're staying on top of those inquisitives. And next week is just a great time to catch up. Another note about next week is, even though we don't have classes, I am still available by email. So if you are working on something, trying to submit late work or working on inquisitives or just anything in general that you have questions about, you are free to email me even over the break. It may take me a little longer than usual to get back with you. I am going to be at Disney World next week. But I promise my email still goes to my phone, and I will still get your messages. And as soon as I can, I will email you back. You are not bothering me. Okay, so if you have the questions, please still reach out. I won't be in my office, so I can't get you, or you can't get me by phone, but I am always going to be attached to my email. Okay, all right, so I think that is enough of the housekeeping stuff. So let's look at our Monday memo for this week. So we are doing a definition essay. This is analysis through definition. And the thing that you're going to be defining for this week's essay is happiness. And I know that is a huge, intangible idea. What is happiness, or what makes a person happy? So this is a very personal essay. What you think is a key factor in happiness, another person may not think is a key factor in happiness, and that is okay. That is why this is your essay on happiness, but it's going to follow the same setup that Module 4 did. Okay, you're going to have a 4-paragraph essay. You're going to have an introduction that ends in a thesis statement, and you're going to have your 2 body paragraphs and then your concluding paragraph. So it's still a 4-paragraph essay. It's just, instead of being a persuasive essay, this is analyzing what happiness is based on your own definition of happiness, using 2 key factors, also known as criteria, to give your definition and to explain it. Okay, so and I kind of go over this and talk about this in our Monday memo, and we're going to talk a little more specifically about it. I'll bring up the assignment sheet in a minute. Please remember that MLA format is now required for your essays. Okay, I know we practiced it in Module 3. I asked you to submit your essay in MLA format in Module 4. So please make sure that you go back and review any notes that I leave as I grade your Module 4 essays on formatting. And if you have any questions from the notes that I left you on your Module 3 essay about formatting, please let me know, because MLA formatting is a part of your rubric, okay? So you may lose a couple points if it's not in MLA format, so please let me know, okay? We do have our tricky word sets, and I'm gonna let you review these, but I do wanna point this out. This is such a common error that a lot as one word is not a word in the English language. A lot is 2 words, okay? So I just want to point that out. All right, so your assignments that are due this week, you are required to submit a planning or writing plan or brainstorming or flow map for your definition essay. I think I mentioned it in last week's video. This is due midweek, so this is due on Wednesday. All right, that's why this module opened on Saturday. This is due on Wednesday. That gives me time to review it and give you feedback, because then your essay is due on Sunday. Normally, there is not this quick of a turnaround in pre-writing and planning and then submitting your essay, but because this is a 10-week class instead of a 16-week class, it's a tight window, okay? So by Wednesday, the earlier you turn this in, the quicker I'll look at it. So I think there are some that have already turned it in, so I should have that reviewed by tomorrow. So the quicker you turn this in, the faster I'll look at it. And I am in the process of looking at your Module 4 essays, but if you submit this writing plan, I'm going to immediately grade it and then go back to grading the Module 4 essays. The Module 4 is over, but if you submit this writing plan for Module 5, I'm going to grade that as soon as possible so that you can keep working and you can ask any questions that you have, okay? And so it's important. I have given you a brainstorming sheet just like the one I gave you in Module 4, but it's been adjusted to fit this essay. If you want to use that, that would be fantastic. If you don't want to use it, you still need to make sure that all the aspects that are listed on that brainstorming sheet you include in whatever kind of brainstorming you submit, okay? And it is due on the 18th, because the inquisitives that you have this week that have been assigned, even though they're not due till the 4th, you should work on those this week. And then your Module 5 essay is due on Sunday, okay? So I just want you to give this some time to think. I've included quite a few resources for you. So we have the assignment guidelines and we have the rubric, of course. There is also a sample essay. Read this sample essay. It will help you, okay? I think some people aren't reading the sample essays, and I'm getting assignments that don't match the guidelines. So make sure you read the assignment guidelines. Make sure you review the rubric. Grade yourself. Write your essay and then pull up this rubric and say, okay, if I was the instructor, am I following this rubric? That's why it's there. It's there for me to grade, use to grade your essay, but it's also there for you to use to check your essay. Did I follow everything? Along with the assignment guidelines, which we'll go over in a minute. Please don't sleep on this sample essay. Review it. It's there to help you, okay? And then we also have a few other things here about the difference between connotation and denotation of a word. This is a definition essay, so connotation and denotation are important here. And I have a few videos about that, as well as videos about personal pronoun use. We want to try to stay away from using second person pronouns. That's you, your, you are. We want to try to stay away from those in an academic essay. Now, usually you'll want to stay away from first person as well. I, me, my. But this is a personal essay. This is what you think the definition to happiness is and how this definition fits your life. So it is personal. You will use I and me and my, but you should not be using you, your, and you are. So Just check out that personal pronoun practice, review this video about pronouns. All of these things are very important. Remember what I want you to do. You start with this, the reading. This reading is talking about happiness and measures of happiness. Top down. Then work on inquisitives. And then make sure after all of that and getting feedback back on your brainstorming, then you submit your essay. Okay? All right. So quickly, let's look at the assignment guidelines. So again, you're going to write a multi-paragraph essay, 4 paragraphs, that define happiness using 2 personal criteria and explores whether you have achieved happiness based on these criteria. So the essay should explain what you think it means to be happy and whether you fit or match the definition you present. Okay, so it's analysis and analyzing happiness through your personal definition of it using 2 key factors or criteria. So again, under writing tips, I've broken this down for you. Your first paragraph is going to hook your reader into your views on how happiness should be defined and the specific criteria. So remember, your last sentence is your clear thesis statement. Your thesis statement can be as simple as 2 key factors to happiness are blank and blank. Okay, that's a simple thesis statement. Okay, and then your next 2 paragraphs, because you have 2 criteria or 2 points, you're going to have 2 body paragraphs. Those are going to be about each of your main points. Okay, 1 criterion per paragraph. So you're going to use evidence to support the criteria, how that criteria can lead to happiness. I don't expect you to, this isn't, happiness is just this. If you have these 2 things, everybody is happy. That's not what you're doing. You're writing a personal definition for happiness. And even with that, you're not going to be able to include everything. The article for this module has 9 topics or domains of happiness. 9. I'm asking you to choose 2. Okay, so I realize I'm asking you to narrow it down a lot, but that's to keep the focus of this essay so that you're not writing, you could write a 10-page essay on this topic, if you were able, because that's a lot, there's a lot to cover. There's a lot of ideas. That's why the article for this is just an excerpt, but it's still like 11 or 12 pages long, because happiness it's an intangible thing. It's a big thing and it means something different to everyone. So I need you to tell me what it means to you, and I need you to choose 2 key factors that help explain what happiness means to you, okay? And so you're going to use evidence, personal evidence, or things that you've seen out in the world that help support your 2 criteria, okay? Then the final paragraph, your concluding paragraph, the 4th paragraph, is going to basically answer this question. Based on your definition, are you happy? So based on the 2 criteria that you discuss, are you happy based on those 2 criteria? And that can be a yes, that can be a no, that can be a somewhere in between. All right, but that is what your concluding paragraph will do. And just remember, a well-developed paragraph is 5 to 7 sentences. Okay, you want to develop the idea, give your opinion, give evidence, examples to support what you're saying. Okay, so those are the guidelines. Let me go back here. I've also included some tips. Okay? So after you read the article, like I said, has 9 domains. They're very, some of them are specific, but some of them are quite general. And so I've included just a few more ideas here. Get your gears turning of criteria or factors for happiness. You can choose 1 or 2 of these if you'd like. Anything that's going to help get your gears turning, help you when you start developing your ideas and planning and brainstorming for this essay. Okay? All right. So I think that's all that I want to cover for now. I know that that's a lot. But please use these resources. And if you have any questions, let me know. Don't forget to go through some of this grammar work, especially the personal pronoun practice about first and second and third person pronouns, because that's important for this essay. And then please don't forget that you're brainstorming, writing plan, flow map, whatever you want to call it, your ideas, your plan for this essay is due by Wednesday. So if you ever have any questions, underneath this assignment heading, you can see the due date right underneath the submission links for each of these. So if you're not sure when something is due, did I have something due in the middle of the week this week or did I not? Just check these dates here and you'll know. And it's always 11:59 p.m. So it's always the end of the day on that date when things are due. You can also look, if I go to the homepage, I believe, yes, if you go to the homepage, it's kind of hidden behind my video here, but you have a coming up section where you can kind of see what's coming up, like this is due soon. And then you can also view it on the calendar. If you click the calendar, you can, because I've put in due dates for the entire term, the entire length of the course. So you can see all the due dates from here to the end. So you can kind of make plans that way as well, especially if you're going out of town. I mean, it's summer. I know you took a summer class, but you might be going on vacation and wondering, hey, if I left for a few days on this week, what would I miss? What's due? You can always view the calendar because I have due dates all the way through the course. Okay. So those are just some things to help you stay on top of the class. I really don't like midweek due dates, but with a 10-week schedule, it's hard not to have them because there's just not enough time. I need your planning so I can make sure you're on the right track before you have to submit your essay. And so there's really no other way. With module 6 and 7, when we come back from summer break, we take 2 weeks for each of those modules. So there's a little bit more breathing room and it gives us a little bit more time to do some things together on those essays. So that'll be nice. But for this week, we're again covering one module, one essay in 1 week. So we got to have a midweek due date so that I can make sure that you're on the right track. Okay, so if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I am here and I hope you all have a great week.